Imagine you're playing hide and seek with your friends. To make sure nobody finds you, you crawl into the one place you know they'll never look, an old cemetery. And then the fog rolls in, thick, sudden. The air changes around you, and something in your gut tells you this isn't a game anymore. Do you push through the fear and stay hidden, or do you give up the game and run? I was 10 years old when I made that choice, and I made the wrong one. This happened in 2017. In a small rural town in the foothills of Tennessee. I was about 10, and like most kids out in the country back then, there wasn't much to do for fun. No arcades, no malls, just woods, fields, and whatever games we could come up with ourselves. I was a tomboy through and through, always running off with the older kids instead of staying with kids my own age. One evening after dinner, I went looking for my older sister Megan, like I always did. Our town backed right up against a mountain, and Megan and her friends loved sneaking off into the woods to play after dark. That night, it was me, Megan, and 3 of her friends. 5 of us total, heading up into the trees for a game of hide and seek. The mountain was thick with trees, perfect for hiding. Megan lost the first round, so she became the seeker. Here's the thing about our version of the game. Whoever got found first had to buy snacks for everyone. I didn't want to spend my money, and I definitely wanted those snacks. So when it was my turn to hide, I took off running as far and as fast as I could. Without realizing it, I ran straight into an old cemetery. It felt perfect, hidden, overgrown. There was no way they'd ever think to look here. So I crouched down, made myself small, and waited. Being 10 years old and endlessly curious, I started looking around at the headstones nearby. One of them caught my eye, overgrown with weeds, clearly untouched for years, tucked away from the others. I'd heard the old folks back home say you should never read a name off a gravestone out loud. They said it would draw something unclean to you. I didn't believe a word of it. The name on that stone struck me as genuinely funny. Old-fashioned, almost ridiculous sounding. So, just to amuse myself, I read it out loud. Then I settled into the tall grass around that particular grave, figuring it gave me the best cover of anywhere on the mountain. Almost the moment I sat down, fog started rolling in, thick, fast. Within moments, I couldn't see more than a few feet in any direction. It felt like I'd slipped into some kind of half-awake, half-dreaming state. My mind felt sharp and clear, but every single sound around me had vanished. The wind, the crickets, gone. Like someone had hit mute on the entire world. All I could hear was my own breathing. Time passed, I don't know how much, but eventually it hit me. Why hadn't anyone come looking for me yet? This was taking way too long. A cold, creeping fear started building in my chest. I decided I was done hiding. I needed to find the others. I started walking back the way I'd come. I walked and walked and walked, but the path never showed up. The fog was so thick, I genuinely couldn't tell if I was moving forward or just walking in a slow circle. My legs were shaking from exhaustion. I stopped to catch my breath, thinking, this shouldn't be taking this long. It hadn't taken me more than a minute or 2 to run out here in the first place. I looked back over my shoulder to check my bearings, and I froze completely. I was still standing in the cemetery, the exact same spot. The graveyard wasn't even that big. There was no way I should still be inside it after walking for what felt like 15 minutes straight. I stopped caring about direction entirely. I put my head down and ran. I cried the whole time, no idea where I was going, just running blind through the fog. Eventually my body gave out completely. I couldn't run another step. I was out of breath, out of tears, out of everything. And that's when I saw her, Megan, far off in the distance, pointing right at me, laughing. Found you. You're the second one I found. I just stood there, completely blank. I'd been hiding for what felt like forever. I'd run for what felt like miles, and somehow, I was only the second person caught. I looked around one more time. The fog was gone. Completely gone. Like it had never been there at all. I ran straight into Megan's arms and broke down crying. I told her I didn't want to play anymore. I wanted to go home. I told her everything that had just happened. She went pale listening to it. We packed up immediately and started walking home. On the walk back, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was behind us. Following us through the trees, I glanced back and saw a small flame floating in the woods. Not a torch, not a fire on the ground, just a small ball of light hovering in midair, shifting color. Green one moment, red the next. I grabbed Megan's arm and pointed it out to her. She looked at it for a long moment and said, That's not what they call a will-o'-the-wisp in those old ghost stories, is it?" Neither of us said another word the rest of the way home. We just ran. That night, the nightmares started. In the dream, I was back in that same foggy graveyard. But this time, an old man stood in the mist, leaning on a cane, pointing at me, gesturing for me to come closer. Every instinct in my body screamed that this was wrong, that I could never let him reach me. I turned and ran and ran and ran, until I woke up gasping. I was running a fever within hours, high enough to scare my parents. They assumed it was just a cold and gave me the usual home remedies. While they were treating me, I told my grandmother everything that had happened that day. Her face changed the moment I finished talking. She knew more about these things than anyone else in the family. That night, my grandmother performed an old ritual passed down through generations of our family. She set a bowl of water on the floor, stood 3 chopsticks upright inside it, and murmured something quietly while doing it. Then she added a spoonful of rice to the water and burned a small bundle of dried herbs. Whether it was the medicine, or whether it was whatever my grandmother did that night, by morning, my fever had completely broken. Just to be safe, she also arranged for a respected elder in the community to bless a charm for me to wear. I never went back to that cemetery, not once, and I never had that dream again. To this day, I don't know who that old man was, or what that floating light wanted from us in the woods that night. I don't know why a cemetery that small somehow swallowed up 15 minutes of my life and never let me find the way out. What I do know is this: there are names you shouldn't read out loud. There are places that look empty but aren't. And sometimes the games we play as kids lead us somewhere we were never meant to find.